Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Brahma Mirastuparantakare Banushashi Bhumisuto Buddhasha Gurusha Shukra Shani Rahu Keteva Sarvigraha Shantikara Bhavantu. Om. Greetings and welcome to KozmicKev100, your weekly astro video zine. This is for the weekend beginning Friday, September 23rd, 2022. Now, looking at the sky today, we really wouldn't see that much of a moon, maybe that last sliver of the moon. And today we find the moon in the constellation of Leo. Now, the part of Leo that we find the moon in that constellation is a lunar mansion known as Maga. Now, Maga is the royal throne room. Maga is also the palanquin that carries royalty and dignities. Royal throne rooms are places where important decisions are made. It was interesting, I was listening to a podcast on KZFR called New Dimensions as I was recording this, and they were talking about all of us who are alive are future ancestors. And as ancestors, we want to make decisions that are going to be good for 7 generations. I thought, how wonderful that is. And also, Maga Nakshatra is ruled by the ancestors, as well as it being the royal throne room. And it's about how our parents or grandparents give things to us without expecting anything in return, and how blessed we are. And really, this is the beginning of when we work with the tamas. The tamas are things that are concrete, sometimes they're things that are dull, sometimes they're things that are lethargic, like sleep, but we need sleep as a necessity in order for us to recover and go through another day. We need structures like housing and whatnot so that we can be safe from intense heat and sun and stay warm when the weather gets cool, or dry when it's raining or snowing. And so this is something that we're about to experience more and more as we go through the next 3 months. I mean, it starts in Leo and it goes all the way through Scorpio. We say these are, we're working with the tamas. These are where people start families. These are where people start businesses. This is where most everything gets done. And if you're, in the northern hemisphere and you're farming and whatnot, this is also the harvest time. And it's where we're taking things in. And this is where people finally have their money after all their labor. And they put things out, even get into debt, banking that they will make something. And so it's all about good faith. Now, the Maga Nakshatra is ruled by Ketu. Ketu is the south node of the moon. South node of the moon rules our past life karma. It rules where we've been and where we're headed. Now, here's the news. Sunday, just a little bit before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, this Sunday, the 25th, we've got a new moon, and that new moon is going to be in a lunar mansion known as Uttara Falguni. So tomorrow, Saturday, will be Purva Falguni. That's Venus, and that's going to be all about entertainment, and there's something very uplifting and recreating and relaxing. But Uttara Falguni is about giving. Uttara Falguni is about the sun, and it's the more masculine side to this. Its ruling deity is Ariaman, and Ariaman gives us boons, gives us blessings, gives us things, and is really good at serving others, really good at helping others. I've noticed people born this time of year, in the latter part of September, most of them have sun sign in Uttara Falguni. Uttara Falguni is ruled by the sun. It's a quarter Leo, it's 3/4 Virgo in the sidereal Vedic zodiac. This is the zodiac that you see when you're looking through a telescope. This is not the zodiac that most of this show is about, because most of you are familiar with Western astrology, and I've decided to keep that going, at least for a little while. I may sometime change it to strictly Jyotish, the Vedic sidereal, but for now, this is what we're doing so that a greater majority of you can understand this. So, beginning with Aries, we're going to go sign by sign with your horoscope. The other thing is, I'd like you to subscribe to the show, like it, share it with a friend. I really need more subscribers and people. It's a great way to start your weekend, tuning into what's going to happen this week. We start with that rest and go forward. I mean, some of us, like myself, I often work weekends, but it's okay. We're all doing the best we can with what we got. The other thing that's happening too is that we just having today Mercury retrograded back into Virgo, out of Libra in Western astrology. So, I mean, it's not really literally in the constellation, but by the tropical zodiac, we have, you know, we had the sun move yesterday into Libra because we had the, we just had the autumn equinox, but we also have Mercury, I think it was last night, moved back into Virgo. So it's in Virgo in both systems. That's an exalted Mercury, by the way. So even though it's Mercury retrograde, let's concentrate on where we've been in the past and what needs to be done without initiating new things. And we'll make some really intelligent decisions. We're going to make some really good fixes. So, all right, I think I've jabbed enough. Starting with you, Aries, this is it for you. Want to bring you into the light of what's going on. So greetings, Aries. Welcome to your horoscope. So we've got Mars in, Mars is in Gemini, I think, right? In the Western zodiac. So that's your third house. That's a Karaka for the third house. That's a great place for it to be. It gives you courage. You know, it gives you courage in your neighborhood. It helps reunite you with brothers if you have, or male siblings, maybe even just good friends you had that were males when you were growing up. All of them fall under this third house. Third house is also the library too. It's, you know, it's a good time to kind of organize your books. Its third house is also working with your hands and being involved in creative projects that you're passionate about. So putting finishing touches on those, just getting it together. I think one of the things I've noticed about, like, when I'm doing creative works, arts like songwriting or painting, which are probably two of the things I've done, especially songwriting, is that it's really easy to get critical about yourself and your work, and then you just don't do it because you're like, that's not good enough. And really, when you're a child, you don't waste your time or energy in being critical about yourself. You just do it. So I'll say that for you, Aries. I mean, even we're in this time, and now that the sun's moved in your 7th house, you're like, I'm in the mood for love. You know, in another month or so, the weather's going to cool down a lot, and be sure nice to cuddle up with somebody during the cooler months. And so that's kind of coming in to a place of focus too. And sure enough, I mean, at the end of this week, as far as like Friday to Thursday, I think on Thursday Venus is going to, Thursday the 29th, Venus is going to move into Libra. So I mean, that could make you also, that's your 7th house, so that could also make you more in the mood for love. All right. Well, greetings, Taurus, and welcome to your horoscope. I mean, like for Taurus, I think this is a great weekend in general. Taurus peeps, you know, at least today and tomorrow we've got a moon in Virgo. And in Western zodiac, you know, and so moon in Virgo rules your 5th house. 5th house is about love. 5th house is about affairs of the heart. 5th house, and that's also where Venus is. And so Venus and Virgo in both systems now. Your love is more accessible to you. I was like talking to probably my favorite Western Taurus friend, Steve O'Brien at Poland Cyclery. Give him a plug, I guess, because biking, you know. He's saying, I'm getting a lot of good attention from women lately. Well, yeah, Steve, you got, you know, Venus rolling through your, you know, rolling through your 5th house, you know, in Western astrology. So that's, yeah, that's a place. It's a safe bet, you know, that's going to happen. You know, and I think for anybody who's Taurian, things of romance, things of the opposite sex, but especially involving women, is going to go a little bit smoother. Also, Mercury's going to go back into your 5th house as well. It's gone back in there. So Mercury in the 5th house too. Actually, Mercury in Vedic astrology works very well for women. It works very favorably towards women because The Sanskrit name for Buddha is, Mercury is Buddha, and Buddha is the son of Tara, Jupiter's wife, and is said to have been created by an affair with the moon, but you know, some stories say it was actually Jupiter. Nobody knows. Either way, there's an incredible amount of intelligence and spiritual dignity with Mercury. And so, you know, your creative ideas are bubbling. This is a week that's just bubbling for Taurus, and your whole workload is going to pick up this week too, because Sun's transited into your 6th house. So serving others, helping others, whatever service you provide, that's getting more revved up. Okay. Greetings, Gemini. Welcome to your horoscope. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times in the 4th house transit, which is where the Sun had been last week, we're more concerned with our feelings and personal assets, and maybe our older relatives, or the home we live in, or, you know, selling a car, things like that. But now that the Sun has moved into your 5th house, it's about, love, more love. How can I open up my heart? And by the end of the week, but Mercury is back in your 4th house. So once again, you're like going, well, wait a second, I'm not really over taking care of my parents. I'm not really over taking care of my grandparents, or trying to figure out how to make my house look better, work better, function better. So all these things are, you know, there's sort of this mix, but there's this transiting. Now that the Sun's moved into your 5th house, your children are more important to you. If you've got a teaching job, or you're educating people or teaching other people things, this becomes more enlightening. If you're entertaining people, if you're a musician that's a Gemini, this is going to, you know, your way of performance. If you're a leader of a band, this is how that's going to be expressed with a little bit more dignity. And so we've got this new moon coming up, you know, on Sunday. And that new moon's also in your 5th house, and it's like, what kind of creative projects? It's also kind of like where people prepare for the holidays, and a lot of people do a little side hustle for the holidays, because hey, face it, people want thoughtful gifts. You know, this is a time where things that are personalized mean so much more, because there's so much more generic and corporate, you know, crap out there, and we really want to have something that's special and meaningful for people. And so that also will affect you as we go through this week. All in all, I think it's an uplifting week for Geminis. All right. Greetings, Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope. You know, so now the Sun has moved into your 4th house. How Cancer-like is that? So you're kind of concerned with your home, you're concerned with your family, you're concerned with older members of your family. If you've got any fixed assets you have to move or deal with, you're concerned with that. But let's face it, you're also kind of like in a bit of a quandary, because Mercury's retrograde. Mercury just went back into the 3rd house. In some ways, that's going to give you new information, and it's going to say, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't buy that thing. There's going to be a better sale coming out next week, and I'm sure glad I listened to Cosmic Kev and I hesitated. Or that, yeah, this thing's not functioning, and I can't get my technician or my mechanic to look at it for another week. So that also can be, you know, it can be a little bit, I don't know, disappointing, let's say that. It's okay, you know, we're all doing the best we can with where we're at. And you're an emotional and sensitive soul, and things I imagine, because you know, 4th house is opposite of the 10th house. We live in a very, unfortunately, work before family culture in this country, and so I'm sure the workload is putting some kind of pressure on you with Jupiter in your 10th house, and you know, there's just a lot to balance, and there's a lot to negotiate. So I'm just like, self-compassion, self-compassion, Om Karuna Rasa Sindave Namaha, you know, lots of that. Okay. All right. So, greetings, Leo, and welcome to your horoscope. Well, I mean, Libra time for Leo is about appreciating your neighbors, appreciating your neighborhood, appreciating your siblings, appreciating the kind of library you have, whether you just have ebooks, you know. I mean, I'm for hard copies. I'll be really honest with you. It's a lot easier on the eyes, and even on the mindset when you're looking at books, when you're looking at print. Now, I don't like cutting down trees, but you know, some people print books with hemp and bamboo and other kinds of tree-free paper. There's all, you know, there's a lot of options out there. Recycled paper. You know, we're learning to be better to the earth. It's unfortunate, and we were starting to do that 50 years ago, but you know, we got some, you know, really greedy jokers manipulated things in the late 70s, early 80s that unfortunately we're now suffering the consequences because nobody derailed that train effectively in our culture, you know. But there's been awesome people, great people doing little things, what they can with what the resources are available to bring education, to restore the earth, and that's what we need to focus on. And one thing I like about Leos is that they look at the big picture. So since third house is a house of the environment, and since you want to work now more with the environment. Now here's the other deal. For Leo, Libra is a debilitated sun. So Libra is like kind of wishy-washy, you know, in its detriment. And it's like, well, we got to consider everybody else. You know, I worked at a co-op for a while, and I've worked at collectives, and as far as like making decisions effectively and on time, I'll be really honest, it really derails a lot of opportunities. A lot of, oh, we have to check in with this person first, oh, we got to check in, and it's like, no. Sometimes you do have to make a decision. Now, Mercury's retrograde, folks. Do not make any rash decisions. Danger, Will Robinson, as I'd say in Lost in Space. Danger, 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 you know. Don't make any serious decisions till after October 2nd when all this stuff goes direct. You know, Mercury is in your second house. So, you know, there's things you might say that you might regret later on. And so it's just like, that's why we have 2 ears, 1 mouth. And, but loving your siblings, not letting your ego or just your own arrogance burn them out. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen this sometimes. This definitely is not true with my brother who's a Leo, but I have seen this with some Leo siblings, that they sort of burn out their other siblings because they're so bright. And that's certainly not you, Rebecca. No, I have a good friend, Rebecca, that's Leo Sun in Western astrology, and she's like the most amazing support to the children, you know, of her sister. And like that's where the real healing work is. Let's help each other, folks, you know. Yeah, so, you know, you have to give up some of your authority or grandiosity of your talents and skills to help others at times, but in the long term it'll come. And once, you know, Sun goes into Scorpio, I mean, you know, so at least the later part of Scorpio, you'll be back on your game. Don't worry. Greetings, Virgo. Welcome to your horoscope. Okay, like, this is a time where you're focused on finances. You're going to be making more money. You're going to be doing better at everything that you're doing, and this is a time where we can initiate really good guidance. So think about that. You know, you're going to get the guidance you need to move forward on every level. Mercury goes back in your first house. You're going to see things more clearly. There's going to be all these aha moments as we go through the week, especially after the weekend. We'll have that nice new moon, and a lot of ways you can be the voice of reason, because you have this ability to look at all these details, and those details are so important right now that you have to give yourself a voice. So let's look about this. Mars is in the 10th house. You're really strong at the workplace right now, and actually people are going to see that. You're going to be on your game at work, and you're going to continue to put out your best effort and do good things. There's nothing that's shadowy. There's nothing that's really getting in the way of your consciousness. You've made decisions to improve yourself on every level right now. And, you know, with this new moon, you should feel more of that. Like you're a valued member of your family, the finances, you're becoming more resourceful. All things are coming together for you. Greetings Libra, and I want to say happy birthday. So I'll say happy birthday to Annie DeFranco, who's I believe turning, oh boy, was she turning 52 today? And to Bruce Springsteen, who I believe is turning 73 today. Guy keeps in great shape. Cassandra Hoke is turning 28 today. Let's see. Other people I know whose birthday is the 23rd. I'm not really super sure, but I've got other friends having birthdays this week. Teresa Lawing is having a birthday. I believe she's turning 55. Wow, well, Teresa, 55 saves lives. And to my sister-in-law Maya down in Tijuana is also turning 55, and you know, boy, she has saved a lot of lives. So wherever you're at on the wheel, just so much love I want to express to you right now. That this is a renewal for you. So, you know, I know that we're in Libra season right now, but it'll feel like way more after Sunday afternoon. Like you'll be there, you know, you'll be feeling it. You'll be cooking with all burners, as I like to say. Oh yeah, Scotty, local musician. Yeah, I want to give you a birthday shout out too. I think on the 24th or 26th. It's hard to keep this all straight together, folks. Oh yeah, and Jada White. Yeah, on the 28th. God, happy birthday. Boy, there's so many Libra, especially in this Purva Uttara Falguni Nakshatra part of the sky. It's like, yeah, I noticed that. All these people, they often help other people. Let's keep that in mind as we go through the week, that you're needed, and we need that balance of Libra. And so you're a flavor of the month. I mean, what more needs to be said? Greetings, Scorpio. Welcome to your horoscope. So Scorpio, let's look at Mars for a second here. Mars is in the 8th house, so it makes you more Scorpio than thou. And to be honest with you, that's where it's going to be a lot of this whole year, even into early next year. So your journey into those hidden spaces of the occult, there's a lot of personal transformation you're going through. I would say yoga, martial arts, meditation, these are the frontiers that you should be exploring right now. This is what's really going to bring that juice back into your life. You know, you've been through a lot of hard stuff, and things are about to look up, you know, that, you know, the squares that we've had from Saturn, and even Jupiter being in Aries, you know, a lot of times 6th house transits bring about obstacles in our life. Libra time, you know, it's about, you know, a place where there's losses, and we really need to focus on our spiritual life. We just need to pay our bills, let go of what's not working, and welcome the things that are working, and realize that there's people out there to help us. You know, there's people out there with vision that can help us, and that actually your talents and skills are being seen, and socially people love you. You know, you're going to get some love as you're going out into the world this week, and I don't want you to fear anything. I mean, right now, of course, not a good time to do any serious investments. People will tell you otherwise. There's always people trying to get your stuff, you know. That's true for all of us in capitalist society. We got to just watch and just be cautious. That's all. Be cautious, but still remain open-hearted. And pay attention to your dreams. They're giving you messages. You want those messages. Greetings, Sagittarius. Welcome to your horoscope. And what is Libra time for you? It's a social time. You know, it's finally, the weather's cooled down. And I mean, this by the end of this week, there's going to be more darkness than light. I mean, for a few days, even after the equinox, we still have more light than darkness. Why is that? Because light is so much more powerful than darkness that we still have a slightly longer day than night until about the 26th or so. So that's kind of nice. This is the last weekend of brightness. So here we are, and let's look at Jupiter. Jupiter's in the 5th house. Jupiter in the 5th house, it's like focus on your children if you have children, focus on creative projects that you're working on. I mean, I feel like I'm sounding like a broken record because a lot of these things, you know, are collective. We're having a collective experience. It's not just Sagittarius. So, but getting together socially with other people, creating really good alliances, making plans for this winter, and also making plans for, like, maybe in November things might slow down a little bit for you, and in October, late October, there's going to be some really weird stuff going on with the upcoming eclipse, and it's kind of like this is your time to store your acorns, you know. Save up, be ready for change, and don't give in to any fear. Also, your intelligence is still needed, and your organizational skills can be worked upon, and you can be doing better. And so I just say welcome this time of grace, and, you know, pay attention to your spiritual life. You know, maybe have a little altar in your home for whatever that's worth, you know. I mean, if you're an atheist, you could have an altar to your favorite atheist. You know, whatever brings a sense of honor and ritual, it's going to help improve things. Greetings, Capricorn. Welcome to your horoscope. Yeah, for my friends that are Caps. Libra time is about your midheaven, your career, where you work. And what really the 10th house is all about is your karma with the public. So, I mean, a lot of people in the last 2.5 years have stepped out of the public completely, and some are just not wanting to go back out there. And I kind of get that, but I mean, there are benefits to masking for sure, but there's also detriment to masking for sure. I've heard there's more problems with oral hygiene, that you're actually more prone to getting cavities, and you're not getting as much fresh air, and that the oxygen still leaks out of the mask anyhow. You know, so you know, it's a double thing. I think, though, I've also noted that people who wore masks in places where COVID was going around and other stuff, they survived it somehow and didn't get it. So, I mean, it's definitely a thing of, there's definitely a thing of choice. There's definitely room for both, but I think the best thing for anybody is to work on a healthy immune system. And if you're, you know, if you're in a situation where you're dealing with food or vulnerable members of society, it's not that big of a deal to use that. Or if your own self is immune compromised, well, I just have to say there's 2 ways that can work. So we have to be cautious, you know, but we also have to welcome whatever it is that's going to make us have the most abundant health, most abundant relations. Let's look at Saturn. Okay, Saturn's in your 2nd house. Saturn's saying, slow down and get real about your finances. Be real about your family and about limitations in your family. Be real about how you grew up sometimes and people had put you down and it was just really rough, and you're dealing with a lot of self-image issues that you want to improve so you can be the best you can, accept who you are in the best way, be the best way possible. That's the beauty of it all. There's so many of you expressing beauty in new ways we've never seen before. And it takes some adjustment to be open to that. You know? And so many of you Capricorn artists are really like David Bowie, Jimmy Page, Elvis Presley. You're such innovators that you're trailblazers, Martin Luther King Jr. And we want to affirm that as you're out there working with the public. Well, greetings Aquarius, and welcome to your horoscope. Also Saturn ruled, you know, and so Saturn's in your 1st house. It's like it's heavy stuff, you know, and it's like, oh my goodness, I have to welcome my mature self. You know, I've seen this especially like with my friends who are Aquarius risings, you know, maybe in their 30s. They're like, no, I cannot just play around and be foolish anymore. I really have to get this stuff done. Yeah. And I'm sure wherever you're at in the world right now, there's this sort of urgency that, you know, there's a limit, we only have a certain amount of time, and whenever we invest our time into something that's giving or more quality, it's like an investment in the bank with guaranteed returns. You may not see them at first, but when you're doing volunteer time to help those who are poor or less fortunate or perhaps marginalized in some way, you're lifting up the world. Or even people that are doing good, but they're doing really good things, and you're just teaming up with them to do good things. It's exciting, you know, and this is going to help you. It's like creating structure, getting better organized, and saying no to stuff that's going to detract you from this positive journey that you're on right now. That's super important. And you know, Aquarius rising, you're going to do well. It's like your teachers are coming in. Your relationship with your father is more important right now. And to heal that if it was a bad one, you know, because that's Saturn's job. Saturn, actually, the first story of Saturn in the Vedas is when Saturn grows up, Lord Cheney, he confronts his father. He says, hey, you haven't been supporting me and my mother the way you should. You know, and then he confronts his stepmom, the son's wife, and says, look, you are really keeping your husband from doing the right thing, and you should support this family too, because you're a part of it. You know, and that's it. You know, when I did a ritual for my ancestors, I didn't just include my blood relatives. I included former wives, family members, and people that meant a lot to me. So our whole concept of family and ancestors could really be spread. There's a lot of helpers out there, folks. They all deserve your love. Greetings, Pisces, as we wind this thing up. Yeah, I mean, Libra time is not the easiest time for Pisces. I'm gonna just throw that out there. It's not to say predicting gloom and doom, but it's a time of transformation. And generally, when you're going through an eighth house transit, sun moving through your eighth house, it's like allow other people to have the power. You know, you don't have to take stage. You can let other people do it and be a support. The other thing, there's a real gift in the eighth house, is that you learn more about the occult and magic. And I think that Pisces and Scorpio are really good at learning about the occult and learning about magic. I mean, Cancer's okay with it too. I mean, Cancer's a little better at the history of it. But the activity, the actual action of it, I definitely see Scorpio and Pisces like really deep into this mix. At least in Western astrology to a degree. So in these discoveries, you know, whether you're studying handwriting analysis or the tarot, or you're getting deeper in astrology like you are in this show, and Neptune's in your first house, you know, it's motivating you to be a more spiritual person, to have a sense of devotion. There's no love that's bad love. Yeah, you can say, oh yeah, I loved the wrong person, but you know what? Your love wasn't what was bad, it was the other person. It doesn't matter. Loving them never hurts you. That's why, like, somebody loves somebody and I don't like who they love, it's still love, you know? I still can admire their devotion. I think we really need to get out of this whole cancel culture thing. Oh my God, they love the wrong person. You know, just relax. Chill out. Don't relax. Stop looking at the person, start looking at the love. When we look at the love, we see good. When we look at the love, we see light. And when we look at the love, we're able to spread that love more easily. We make a bigger deal about love. Venus is moving in your eighth house. It could be intense love. That could be sexy love. That could be a love that you've been really wanting to experience. And the love you've had still this week, it's going to be good love. And I'd say, you know, Jupiter's position is what we look at. Jupiter in the second house, it's like, you've got resources to help other people right now. And when you help those less fortunate, that can't pay you back. I mean, Jesus talked about this. That's the greatest love. That's when you're acting like the divine parents in that case. So with that said, I just want to say more love, folks. With this new moon and Purva Falguni, Uttara Falguni, that brings about service to others, that brings about a sense of duty. It's also kind of like loving love, and you know, there's a little bit of a rascally vibe that can come out in this new moon too, so it's not all just like serious stuff, but just think about how much has been given to you and how much you're able to give to others, and we're going to make this community the most wonderful place we've ever been. Thank you. Continue to subscribe, push the like button, the notification button. I love your comments, keep them coming. Just want to give shouts to you, and Thank you, Shot, for being, and Triple F and all you other people. Look forward to hearing from every one of you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Tat Sat.